Hi, I'm Lebanon Communications intern Sam Hornbecker. Today I sat down with three of the stars of the upcoming musical being put together at Lebanon High School, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. They describe it as one of the most lively and action-packed shows that they have ever started. You can catch it in the high school auditorium running November 14th through the 16th, the first two shows being at 7 p.m. and the last two being a 2 p.m. matinee. I'm Lebanon Senior Sam Hornbecker here in the auditorium of Lebanon High School, which will play host to the fall musical Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. Here I'm with three cast members, Soteria Udu, Eli Sloan, and Xavier Bryant. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. So just for people that have never seen this play, what is it about? Like, what can you kind of explain to me and about the story, stuff like that, the plot?
Okay, so Joseph is based on the real biblical story of Joseph. It goes through that entire thing, and it just takes the exact story and it gives it a musical feel to it. So it can feel very random. It can feel very spontaneous at times. You might be sitting in the audience thinking, what's really going on? Like, is this really the actual story? But it really is, and it just gives it a fun twist to a previously told story.
Yeah, it's different than most musicals just because there's no dialogue at all. It's all like just song to song to song. So it could be, you have to like really pay attention to make sure you know what's going on, especially how it's like chaotic. There's a bunch of different types of music, genres of music. So you just have to like pay attention to know what's happening.
Yeah, it's very diverse in style and like sound, dancing. It's very different than your average musical where there's just, you know, a set type of song or something. But with this, it's very diverse.
So you guys mentioned the diversity in style and all the songs and stuff. Does this musical tend to play on a larger scale than what you guys are used to here at Lebanon High School?
I would say yes, not necessarily because of the show style, but more in terms of what we have going on stage. There's big flashing lights. There's the biggest thing I would say is the cast. We have our regular cast, which I would say is about 30 to 40 people, high schoolers, but also we have 22 children that are taking part in this, a part of a children's choir that help advance the story. The story is told through the children. The children are kind of the lens for the audience to go through, and that just in itself when we have everyone on stage, that makes for a huge audience, and not to mention that's going to also increase our audience size for us as high schoolers, having all of their relatives come see us as well.
All of the kids, like in each song there's usually a lot going on stage. So I would say that's the biggest difference just between, I've only been in the musical, this is my second year. I did it last year, I did it this year, but just it's already so different just because there's so much going on within the musical in each scene. Like there's stuff over here, then oh look, over here, and then oh boom, light over there, and you're like, wow. But it's so vibrant and so amazing, honestly.
I would agree.
To further what Xavier said, I would say yes, it's different because there's maybe one or two moments in the whole show where there's only a couple people on stage. Rarely is there, never, like there's a point, even when it's like just Joseph's song, but there's people in the background still.
Exactly.
The entire show has tons of people on stage, and I think that's what Xavier's showing with how everything's going on all the time.
Yeah.
So you guys mentioned the children's choir. How has it been rehearsing with children, like when you're in a high school play?
Wow, that's honestly been, it's fun. Like the first time we we only rehearse with them like once. Well, recently it's been just once a day. It's so the high schoolers can figure out what they're going to be doing, and then we just input the kids. So then when they come, at first it's a bit chaotic, but we have some like in elementary school, you'd be like, oh, clap your hands twice if you can hear me or whatever. So we have our little things going with the musical. So it kind of keeps it contained, but it's just hard to keep track of so many kids and like make sure they're paying attention and listening along with just high schools trying to listen. So it gets chaotic, but it's very fun just to see them learn everything.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the kids bring in a new level of learning because you're not just telling the story to the audience, you're telling the stories to the kids also, and so you want to immerse them, and while they are actors, they're also just kids, and so that part of it has helped me become a better musician also, and trying to draw the kids in with that.
So with that, do you guys feel like you've almost adopted a kind of teacher role to the kids? Like you've kind of become their leaders, not only with the younger people in the musical, but with the kids that are also in this production?
One thing that helps Joseph's story, Joseph was originally created by Andrew Lloyd Webber, who has made plenty of other musicals that consistently don't have much dialogue. He likes to make shows that have all song. Unlike some of his other shows, Joseph does have a narrator role. Now, for our production, the narrator role is a huge role, so we have split it into 3 separate narrators, each played by 3 different people. And so the narrators not only help the audience know what's going on, but they also are the teachers for these kids. All the kids have their own little narrator, in a sense, and those narrators help keep the audience on a flow, but also keep the kids on a flow. And so while we are teachers, the narrators really help keep that story going as a teacher, in a sense.
You can think more of it as like the people doing the scene, and like we incorporate the narrators in the scene as much as we can, but the actors on stage doing the scene are just there to show, like they're there to like for the kids to watch them, basically, and the narrators bring it back like, okay, this is what is happening now, watch it happen, kind of like that.
Yeah, they also add in to like the effects, because we previously mentioned how big and vibrant this is, so they add to that effect, and I think it's really nice.
So you guys mentioned how there's not really a breaking point in this musical. It's a lot of songs all the time, very big, vibrant. How does that play not only into your rehearsals, but the way you're going to perform this play? Is it very fast? Is there like a lot of break time for the audience to really think about what they just saw?
I would have to say not really, because how we've kind of approached this rehearsal process, and we still got to finish this up. We have 2 full weeks still of rehearsals before we hit the stage for an audience, but when we were learning the show, we learned it by number. Normally, if you're learning a number, you will all automatically learn what your transition is going to be into the next scene. We still don't fully know what all of our transitions are because it's just song to song to song. Some songs go straight into the next one, so there really isn't a transition. You've gone from this genre and you've immediately switched to this next genre. So that's something that we're going to have to figure out still to ourselves as well, how we're going to find a transition for the audience to know, okay, we are switching up what we're doing.
Like honestly, for example, I know there's one song where it's all the brothers on stage, and then we're all like, oh, we're running off stage, and then we immediately come back on with the new set just because it goes straight into the next song, literally. Like the audience claps for a couple seconds, and then boom, you're into the next song.
Yeah, and it's even crazier for the gender bent females who play male characters for females who are brothers. It's insane because they might be a brother in this scene, and then the next scene they're a girl who's like fawning over Joseph or Pharaoh. So it's crazy.
Do you play one of those roles?
I do.
So how has that been, being a traditionally male role when you're a female?
It's been a really good experience. It was not one I wanted to be when I auditioned for the musical, but as the show went along, it really is fun. It's weird being a guy in a girl show, and we haven't really had costumes and stuff like on set, and so it's just it's you becoming that character, you forgetting, oh, I'm a female. It's you becoming Gad or being Dan or being Issachar or Asher. You're just becoming whoever that character is. And it's awesome because I feel like you have more fun when you don't think, you just do. You're an actor, so you embody that character. So I'm Gad 1 second, and the next second I'm, oh my gosh, crazy over Joseph or over Pharaoh. Yeah.
So, I heard Eli mention something about the different genres of music in this show. How has that affected the way you guys approach this musical, especially voice-wise, the way you guys are going to sing in this musical?
So that's even something that our vocal director, Mrs. Chef, has talked to us about. There are specific songs where it is purely a song where it's got its own catchy tune, it's got all that, but there is specific songs that are there to advance the plot. There are also some songs there that are purely for the music side of it, to really introduce different parts. And so there is a disco song, but then there might be a Western song, 2 songs right before that. And so that changes how they sing. Me being Joseph, I'm not in some of the crazy big dance numbers, but one of these songs is a Western song. And you really got to sing like that too. So if you're going to sing like my normal voice, the next song you might be singing like this. Okay. So that really changes from song to song. And that's another way for us to really tell the audience we're switching by changing the way we're dancing, by changing the way our voice is. And that's how we're going to be able to communicate that.
Yeah. And that change is even bigger for like the ensemble cast members who go through those changes. 1 second they're singing bonjour, and then the next they're singing about bananas. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So I wanted to kind of ask you guys, how has this process leading up to the play? What do you guys think about when you are about to perform? What makes you guys want to perform and really want to go out there and be in front of all these people and do what you guys love to do? What makes you tick?
I know the number one thing that I love is, and when we're just rehearsing, it's hard for me to feel that, but like I just know what's gonna happen. But like the audience, when they're laughing at like a joke you say, or if they're just clapping or cheering you on, it just brings more hype and more like enthusiasm and adrenaline to what you're doing on stage. So you're like, oh, they're loving it. Let me actually show off for them. I just love like
I
the
agree.
applause.
Basing off of what Xavier said, saying how he wants to make the audience laugh. But if you're thinking, there are specific moments in the show where there are really big climaxes. You got to make the audience feel that climax. You want that audience to go on that emotional journey with you that the musical itself goes on. And I can assure you there isn't a very large journey that happens in this show. And so letting the audience see those ebbs and flows really just in the end makes it a better product.
Yeah, even because we have the little kids, so even with having their parents here just watching us once in a while when they are here, that for me is like, oh my God, I'm performing. I'm a performer. I am being this character and I'm doing my best and trying to see the reaction they give. And that was a good base for me, having the parents even laugh or like, oh my God, what's going on? It was really good for me to experience. And that helps me, be a better performer, and it makes me want to do more.
You mentioned being a performer. I was just curious to all three of you. How do you guys get into character truly before you start a role and go out on stage for the first time?
Everybody has their different methods. Me personally, it's as simple as you're right before you're about to go on stage. Once you get in that costume, once you get that mic on, once you are ready to go, nothing else matters but what you are doing in that very moment. You are not yourself. I am not Eli Sloan. I'm playing Joseph. So you just have to think. That's why it's very helpful to, when you first are cast in a show, do your research. Understand what that character did, especially if it's based on a true event. And with us being based on the Bible, something that hundreds of millions of people base their lives upon, knowing that I am representing this person, I need to be as accurate as I possibly can. And so knowing what they are about and how their character might react. You're not reacting when you're in a show to how Eli Sloan would react. How would Joseph react, or how would Dan react? You got to know that, and that's kind of how I get into character. Just know I'm not me anymore. I am playing this character, and that's who I am.
Yeah, honestly, I'm the same way. And especially with this show, there's 12 brothers, excluding Joseph. So there's 11 brothers, and it doesn't tell you a lot about them. So you really have to do your own research, and that's what I had to do. I was like, okay, how can I be, Joseph's brother? Do I hate him? Do I like him? Do I want to, sell him off? Do I want to? I regret it or whatever. So everyone really has to just figure out what their character is to just know who they're gonna be.
Yeah, and it's really weird with the brothers, because you might be feeling a little more guilty than the other brother, but you really don't know that until you see how the other brothers react, and you're like, okay, I don't want to copy the same expression that this person has, and maybe they also did research, and then their research was similar to yours, and because there's not a really big differences with the brothers, except like the ones who have major roles and bigger roles and bigger songs. But for the rest of the brothers, you really don't know too much about them. And so you have to create who you want that character to be, and you have to be that person. And whether it's a brother or it's a female wife ensemble member, you just, yeah.
So Xavier, question for you. When you get the role of the brother and you see there's not a lot of information about him and you see you have to research, what are the things that go through your mind and how you're going to prepare this character, how you're going to make it stage ready?
Honestly, just for me as an actor, it's very hard when I'm not given exactly what I'm supposed to be. Like, if it's not like, oh, you're an angry brother who, wants this exact thing, but I didn't get that. So I was like, what am I supposed to do? So I guess really just, it was very hard trying to figure out how to be, my character's name is Dan. It was very hard trying to figure out how to be Dan.
Right.
But I think I've gotten it, and especially like if you are like, you have to stick with what you do. So if you're guilty, you have to stay guilty about, selling off your brother. But like if you were like happy about it, you have to stay happy until like there's a good point that you can change. Yeah.
Soteria, you mentioned you played brothers too. How was that for you?
It's very similar. At first, it was weird because, yeah, you're not really given a angry brother, jealous brother, guilty brother. You're just a brother. And it was having to see what the other performers around me were doing, seeing Xavier be mad or seeing Benjamin feel more guilty than the rest. And I'm Gad. And honestly, there was nothing about Gad. And so we did a color thing, and we stood around in a circle and talked about how we would embody our characters individually at some point. And hearing the ideas from other cast members helped me decide, okay, this is how I want my character to be portrayed, and this is how I want my brother to be different from the other brothers. And so, yeah.
Eli, one question for you. I know you're Joseph, and you play off of, as I've heard, a big 12-brother cast. How has that been playing with such a big ensemble when you're the main role?
I've been lucky to have been, it's easy to tell how Joseph stands out from everybody else. He has songs explaining that exact reason. Another thing that definitely helps separate people is costumes. Me personally, Joseph, I wear all white at the very beginning. I obviously have my rainbow coat, but I have white on compared to what you would expect people or not like very rich people at that time would have worn around that time. So for me to kind of separate myself from the ensemble kind of comes from what I wear, just really finding the difference between, obviously the brothers got to find their differences between each other, but I just have to stand out completely from how they act with each other.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys for doing this podcast. It was great talking to you. So, plays in 2 weeks, correct? A week from this weekend, right?
Yes, November 14th, 15th, and 16th, 7 p.m. first 2 days, 2 p.m. matinee on Sunday.
Okay, you heard it here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. Don't forget to get your tickets for Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat being shown in the Lebanon High School Auditorium November 14th through the 16th. The first two shows being at 7 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and the last being a 2 p.m. matinee on Sunday. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, I am City Intern Sam Hornbecker.